According to Forbes, Portuguese is the eighth world's most spoken language by number of native speakers, and there are about 9 countries that speak this language. Out of all the languages in this world, why am I learning Portuguese? Oh yes, the Brazilian Portuguese. I guess you already know the answer. It's because I moved down to Brazil from Nigeria. Is the Portuguese spoken in Portugal different from the Brazilian Portuguese? Yes, to some levels. The Brazilians will always say their Portuguese is more interesting than the one from Portugal. There's a lot of steez in the way you speak the Brazilian Portuguese, the varieties of accent from the north down to the south, also without leaving out the slangs. So here's why we are here. In the next few minutes in this video, I'll be telling you how I've been learning the Brazilian Portuguese for a while now. You could learn from my tricks and mistakes. Welcome back to my channel. I have some soju here. 2 bottles of soju. But that's not why we're here. But before I start, I need to drink something. And soju is not what I'm going to drink. I need a clear head for this shoot. So I'm going to take a cup of Coca-Cola. I'm back. That's so refreshing. This video is going to be raw, a little bit edited. So I'm keeping my cup here. Everything I'm going to be saying, I have it written here. Not everything I want to be saying though. Just a few points, so it's going to guide me. Because sometimes when I make shoots, my mind wanders and I lose focus. I'm trying to work on that. I'll improve. So, how have I been learning my Portuguese, or how have I learned Portuguese so far? Why am I learning Portuguese? First thing first, I'll have to tell you guys the story of how I moved from Nigeria down to Brazil. So, I started learning Portuguese. First, I started learning Spanish when I was in my final year, like the last semester. And my friend told me about Brazil. That's Manuel. And I thought about it, did some research, and I said, okay, I guess I'll have to ditch the Spanish and learn Portuguese, the Brazilian Portuguese. So I started learning Portuguese in 2018. Just a few weeks before I finished my final exam. To cut the long story short, I started learning Portuguese in 2018. So I was writing things down. I wasn't really serious with the Portuguese. We were not really serious with the Portuguese. So I learned the basics. I used Duolingo. Duolingo was my go-to app then. So I started using Duolingo to learn the basics. And from time to time, I'll write down things. I still have the book of when I started writing the Portuguese in 2018. I still have the book, but you don't need to see that. And I wrote a few words. I learned just the words. I was learning words. I was not really writing sentences or anything like that. I was learning animals in Portuguese. I, me, common pronouns in Portuguese, common pronouns and nouns, stuff like that, and a few verbs. Then fast forward, I was not serious in 2018. Our visa wasn't approved in 2018 because we planned on moving from Nigeria to Brazil in 2018 for school, but the visa wasn't approved. So I went to serve. I was not serious with the Portuguese. 2 years later, 2020, we applied for another visa, and I was picking up the Portuguese again from where I left it. Blah 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 blah. My visa wasn't approved. Manuel visa was approved, so he traveled in 2021, and I was in Nigeria. So I stopped learning Portuguese again. Back and forth. I wasn't stable. One of the best ways to learn Portuguese is to immerse yourself in the country, like to be in the country. That's like immersion. So 2 years later again, 2022, my visa got approved and I started picking my Portuguese back. I went back to Duolingo. I was studying the Portuguese gradually, picking up the words. I was now learning sentences and everything like that. Though Duolingo gave me the basic idea, the basic knowledge I needed. And a lot of people always try to look down on Duolingo because Duolingo won't do much anything. But for the basics, Duolingo is really tried for real. Duolingo really tried. So I think people should just stop discrediting Duolingo. It did its own part. So it did its own part in my own life learning Portuguese, and I traveled in 2022. I came to Brazil in 2022, December 18th. That was the World Cup final when Argentina won the World Cup. So I came here. I was so excited. So I started learning Portuguese. I started getting the basics. Now I was learning my pronouns. I was learning my nouns like I, you. Let me try to speak Portuguese a little bit. I'm still learning Portuguese, but let me try to speak Portuguese. Às vezes eu quero falar muitas coisas, mas eu sempre esqueci algumas palavras em português. Então, estou aprendendo português mais ou menos gradualmente. Hum, eu vou eu vou falar sobre mim. É, Oi, tudo bem? Meu nome é Michael Bada. Eu sou da Nigéria. Hum, blah 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 blah. That's just it. Back in December 2022, I started picking a few words. I was I had a guide, and John was my guide. That's Manuel's brother, younger brother. So he was helping me out. He gave me this book. So I resumed Duolingo part time. I was still using Duolingo just to catch up some words again. I was just learning scatteredly, and I think this is the mistake of most beginners. They just learn Portuguese scatteredly. There's no direction. There's no guide. There's no plan for it. So we learned to make that mistake as beginners, learning whatever language you're learning, just scatteredly. John gave me a textbook. So the name of the textbook, the Portuguese textbook, is Fala, Lê, Escreve Português, curso para estrangeiros. Fala, lê, escreve português, curso para estrangeiros, meaning speak, read, write Portuguese, a course for foreigners. This Portuguese textbook is just written in Portuguese. There's no English, there's no translation. So you're going to learn Portuguese. There's no backup, like there's no English translation at all. It's just only Portuguese. Everything is written in Portuguese. So I started using the book, and I was using my phone to translate some words I don't understand. So the book had like conversations in Portuguese, a lot of things gradually like that. The responses, oi, to the bem, stuff like that. Then fast forward, and inside same textbook, the textbook went from basic to advanced. And the basic I'm talking about is not just basic, like you don't have any idea of Portuguese. It's like a pro basic. It means you have to still know some words in Portuguese, like oi, tudo bem, como vai você, blah blah blah, things like that. The basic ones, like the ones Duolingo will teach you. So you need Duolingo at some point. The textbook really helped me. The textbook really helped me. I learned a lot of stuff in that textbook. I learned the tricks. I learned the scopes, the rules around the Brazilian Portuguese. I learned the conjugation, the concord, the rules. There's some tricks. There's some tricks I'll be showing you guys. Part of the rules, Portuguese, the Brazilian Portuguese. For those that already started learning Portuguese, there are some things I'll be saying that you guys will get me to some extent. Why those that don't understand Portuguese might not get me. But as time goes on, when you start learning Portuguese, when you come back to watch this video, you know what I'm saying. So there are some rules. The Portuguese words have masculino and feminino. The feminine words and also the masculine words. Unlike English, where we don't have the feminine and the masculine. So Portuguese is a little bit difficult than English. But at least it's better because we have normal alphabets we use in English. So it's not like we're learning Mandarin or we're learning the Korean language that we have to learn whatever angle or anything. If you put your mind to it, you will learn this language fast, and you have to love the language. You have to embrace the language for you to learn it faster. Let me first show you the dynamics of the Brazilian Portuguese. And for example, let me say I speak. In English, we can say I speak, you speak, they speak, we speak. The speak remains constant. Only the subject changes, which is the pronoun. I, you, they, we. I speak, you speak, they speak. You understand me? And in Portuguese, the speak, the verb will be changing. And also, just like how the subject was changing, the verb also changes. So let me give an example. Let me continue the example now. I speak. In Portuguese, you say eu falo. Eu falo. You speak means você. You means você. Fala. You speak. Você fala. They speak. It can be vocês. Vocês falam. Or eles falam. Or elas falam. Then if you want to say, you see how it's changing. Vocês, eles, elas. Vocês means like you guys. Eles means you boys. Elas means you girls. So they're like they speak. I don't know how to put those ones in third pronoun or those second pronoun. I don't know what those ones have. Dish those rules, those English rules. Then we speak means nós falamos. So recap, I speak, eu falo, you speak, você fala. They speak, vocês falam, falam. We speak, nós falamos. That is it. You see how it is changing? Falo, fala, falam, falamos. That's it. There's also the past tense of those words. You get, there are some things like that, and also there's the subject, there's the verb, like to speak now. There's what we say to speak is different from I speak, you speak, they speak, and we speak. To speak means fala. Falar. The R shows the two. To speak. To speak. That is it. I'll be writing those things. Now I'm talking about, I'm just showing the dynamics of this Portuguese. It's not to scare you, but just to get the tricks. So there's this particular trick I learned with the textbook I just told you about. I told you guys about. Now, to speak, Falar, fala. The last two alphabets in that fala, AR, you want to write the past tense of the I speak, of the fala. You want to write the past tense of the fala, to speak. Now you are going to write it according to the first person pronoun, second person pronoun, third person pronoun, all those things like that. Like I spoke, you spoke, they spoke, we spoke. Now, let me teach you a trick. Now we are going to write eu falei, that's the I spoke. Você falou, you spoke. Vocês falaram, they spoke. Nós falamos remains the same. Nós falamos remains the same. It means we spoke. So now let me teach you the trick. The last alphabet in that to speak, the falar, R, Falar. The AR, once you see any verb that ends with AR, if you say, if you want to use it for the first person, like if you want to use it for yourself, I don't know those things. If you want to use it for yourself, my bad, I'm sorry. If you want to use it for yourself, like eu falei, we change that AR, we substituted for EI. Falei, falei. It changed. That's eu falei, I spoke. Then for você, você can also be você falou, ela fala, ele fala. It means you spoke, he spoke, she spoke. So it is going to be você falou. Falou. The AR is changed to OU for você, ela, ele. Now for vocês, eles, elas means they, the boys, like they, you girls, you boys. So it's going to be vocês, Falam. Now we are not going to change the AR at that fala of that fala. We're just going to add AM. It's going to be vocês falaram. Vocês falaram. So any words that ends, vocês falaram. Falaram. It's not falaram. So there are some things you can't pronounce when you're speaking Portuguese. There are some ways you pronounce it. There's the accent, there's the tonation of all those things, the dictions. So now the last one is nos. It still remains the same. Falamos. It doesn't change. Falamos. Another example of any words that end with AR, any verb that ends with AR, like compra is to buy. Compra means to buy. Comprar. Let me just first say the normal present tense. Eu compro. Você compra. Eles compram. Nós compramos. I buy. You buy. They buy. We buy. Then the past tense. What is it going to be? Eu comprei. The AR that ends in that compra, to buy, is going to be substituted with EI. So eu comprei. Then the second one, the AR is going to be substituted with what? OU. It means você comprou. Then the third one, vocês compraram. Vocês compraram. They bought. Then the last one, it doesn't change. Nós compramos. It still remains the same. Nós compramos. Just remove the R at the comprat. Then put amos. So let's recap. Eu comprei, I bought. Você comprou, you bought. Eles ou vocês compraram, we bought. Nós compramos, we bought. That's it for that. So when you're learning Brazilian Portuguese, I got immersed in the I got this immersion. I'm already in the country that speaks the Portuguese. So what are the things I learned from conversations? I learned the basic words I would need for my day-to-day activity. Words like good morning, good afternoon, good night, hello, I want to buy, I want to buy, excuse me, please, stuff like that. I learned those things because they are the words, they are the sentences and the words I will be needing in my day-to-day life as a beginner, so I won't be confused. Oi, tudo bem? Como vai você? Com licença, por favor, eu quero comprar pão. I want to buy bread. There are a lot of things I learned. A lot of things. Eu quero, I want. Você quer, you want. The verbs, the basic things I need just for that time being. I was just having this excitement to quickly learn Portuguese. Like I was seeing myself in the future speaking Portuguese fluently, blending with the Brazilians. Some people say some Brazilians even think I'm Brazilian because I look Brazilian. Brazil is there's no part, you can't really pinpoint the Brazilian. Is a very multi-diverse country. When you're learning a new language, it's broken down into 4 sections: the speaking, the listening, the writing, and the reading. I am very bad at listening. The Brazilians speak their Portuguese very fast. They speak very fast. So I'm very good at writing. I'm also very good at reading because I have a photographic memory. I like to see what I'm reading. I think if I see what I'm reading, I will assimilate faster than just listening to it, because even if you tell me something, I like to picture how it could be spelled. So if I can know how it is spelled, it sticks in my brain because of my photographic memory. So I know more. I know how to write more. I know how to read more, and I think I'm also improving on my speaking, and my listening is also improving. But let me tell you the trick. Let me tell you one of the trick. Aside immersion, inside immersion,
One of the major ways I learn my Portuguese is through my relationship with Brazilian women, the friends I make. You know, they were my motivation somehow. I wanted to speak to them. I wanted to converse with them. I I wanted to just relate with people, and they were willing to help. And when they hear me speak a few lines that are already programmed in my head, they're like, I like your accent. Most will even tell you to retain your accent. Don't try to be like the Brazilian. Don't try to get the accent. You can speak like them. You can have the accent, but you can still also keep your accent. They like something to like. They like to hear something different. So the woman, for me, maybe for the woman, it's going to be the man. For a woman trying to learn Portuguese, it's going to be the man. That's going to be your part of your motivation. So part of my motivation was the woman. Part of my help and the assistance I got was from the Brazilian women. I spoke with them. I had video calls, video conversation. Before I was just reading this, I was just reading everything. I'm more of a reader. I read. I don't really speak. Even when I'm reading, I don't even speak it out. I speak out a few times. And I made some videos when I was trying to read. Then relating with these women, I had to now start speaking everything I've learned for it to stick better. So I was having video calls. I was subsequent video calls with the ladies I met those times, and I speak the Portuguese. They correct me. I pen down the correction. It sticks in my head. I'm learning on the job. So it has been fun so far. It has been fun so far, and they really helped me improve a lot, my speaking and everything like that. So, and sometimes if I have not really spoken Portuguese with a few people for a while, maybe I'm always indoor working from home, doing my crypto thing, and I've not really gone out and mixed with the Brazilians, maybe for a week, I might forget some words. But when I want to try to form a sentence, I'll still remember what to form because of the understanding of the conjugations. I know the tricks, I know the concord, I know, those verbs and everything, and how to join them. So I already know those tricks. So for some words I don't even know their past tense or the past participle or whatever. So if I know the verb, I will know how to form my sentence. They just have to calm down when I'm speaking. The Brazilians just have to calm down when I'm speaking. And I already picture what I'm going to say. So the tricks has helped me. So I don't need to cram. I did cram at some point. I don't need to cram most of the words. So I just need to know the tricks. I could cram some words, some nouns, a few verbs, or anything like that. But I don't need to be cramming the voiceover, all those first person, second person. I already know the tricks in forming the past tense, in the plural, in the masculine, in the feminine, and some words that I've not heard of before. I can try to figure out what they are saying because they look somehow similar to English. Like to add something means adiciona. Um, what I would to like for example in Portuguese means por exemplo. Yes. So that's it for that. So me relating with females really helps me. It really helps me. And it can help you too as a guy. Also, one of the ways for you to learn Portuguese faster is find yourself a chick,
Yeah, boy.
find yourself a babe, learn Portuguese faster. You want to mingle well, you'll learn on the job. You'll feel everything will be so intensive. It's going to be like a crash course. You already want to explode, but that's part of it. The pressure. If you can handle the pressure, you do well in your Portuguese. One of the ways I'm learning Portuguese right now is I joined a free Portuguese class that belongs to an NGO, Isto Refugiado. So I joined the refugee program, although I'm not a refugee. It's an NGO, so I started learning Portuguese free. So I take Portuguese every Tuesday and Thursday. So I learned the basic. I still went back to learning the basics, and I'm learning the intermediate. I'm in the intermediate class too. So the class has been helpful in conversing. Now everything I learned, the tricks I learned, the scopes I learned, the conjugations I learned, and some things I learned, some things I learned that I don't know the principle behind it. I started knowing the principle from the Portuguese class, from the free Portuguese class, and it has been helpful. Despite it being free, the teachers teach us well. They still give us they use all the energy to teach us. We have conversations, we talk about the Brazilian culture, we listen to music, we sing along the music, we learn from music, we learn from all sort of things in class. Even from the food, we talk about the Brazilian food and eat some Brazilian food. So The class has been helpful. If you are someone that likes to learn things on your own, you like to do things on your own, that's very good. I also do that. I've learned design, I've learned crypto majorly on my own from YouTube videos and everything like that. But there's this point where you get to that you need to find a tutor, you need to get into a class that helps you learn faster. So I've been going to the class and I've been learning the principles behind everything I've learned on my own. The principle that nobody taught me. The book is not going to speak to me. So I could try to use my brain to know what the principle is. But if I don't know it, I don't know it. To break everything down, again, I started using Duolingo back in Nigeria. I resumed Duolingo when I got to Brazil. I dropped Duolingo. I started using the Portuguese textbook. I was learning Portuguese all by myself without conversing, just theoretically. Then I started relating with people to practice, most especially the ladies. I had more relation. I related more with the ladies. They helped me learn my Portuguese. Practical. I had dates. I had conversations via video call with the ladies. They helped me immerse myself in the Portuguese. And now I am also enrolled in the Portuguese class, the free Portuguese class by Isto Refugiado in Sao Paulo here. So those are the 4 ways I've learned my Portuguese so far. And I feel there's still going to be more ways for me to learn my Portuguese because I'm going to be creating content with Brazilians. And from creating this content with them, I also pick a lot of Portuguese. I just have to be prepared for the pressure that comes. And I think learning the language is lifetime, it's forever. You can't know all the words, you can't know everything. You keep on learning. And the settings matter too. The words you learn from the hospital is different from the words you learn from the bank. The terminologies you learn from the farm is different from the terminologies you learn from the office, something administrative. You get what I'm saying? Watch the words you learn from the supermarket is different from the words you learn from the restaurant. So you keep on learning, you keep on learning. You just keep on learning, it's forever. So you just keep on learning, you enjoy it. But if you're learning a language, if you're learning Brazilian Portuguese, be careful. You could lose your English accent. Like saying different. Different is English. Differente is Portuguese. So you could go back to where you're from, speaking English, and you say, what is the difference between, instead of what is the difference between? So learn to be able to filter, to separate the Brazilian Portuguese and your English. Unless if you get it mixed up. This is how I learned my Portuguese. I learned it scatteredly. And this, I'm admitting this is my mistake. There was no plan towards the way I'm learning my Portuguese. But Oba and Potibaje, there's no sport yet, you get. So I'm still learning, and I've deleted some things I learned wrongly while I was learning alone. I've imputed new things that are the right way to speak Portuguese. Yes. Portuguese is not an easy language. So we've come to the end of this video. Don't forget to like, don't forget to share this video, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you. I appreciate it. Valeu. Obrigado.